I don't know if folks remember us mentioning this the other day, but our our vet sent a card after Sagan passed, and along with it was this candle that I had read, and it's from Furry Angel, and had Sagan's name on it, and it says that on it's every Monday. There's a candle lighting memorial ceremony for pets that have passed, and we thought that that might be appropriate to do. So it happens every Monday night at 10 p.m. Eastern, and then 9 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Mountain, etc. So everyone that is celebrating the life of a pet does it at the same time. Hi, bud.
He wants it in your lap.
And we have some things here, and I'm just gonna warn people that
This probably might be sad.
this is probably going to be a little sad. But we got some of the stuff together here. Here's obviously the candle, and we have Sagan's ashes. We have the flowers that Chewy sent that I need to make sure Kep does not try and consume. Don't eat them. They're not for eating. He's just sniffing. Every month, Mal does her Patreon prints for her collector tier, and she sends prints out. And of all of the photos this past month, one of them, just one, Sagan was in. So we decided that we wouldn't send that one off. For one, so we would have it, and then for two, we didn't really want to make anyone sad or anything by receiving this. It's Sagan, bud. And then also, I don't think we ever showed this actually, but whenever we were in Charleston and we had to put Sagan down, they give you this. It's a clay paw print. They stuck his paw in clay so we would have his paw print, and we've since already baked it, so it's permanent now. And there's a whisker on there that we found. It's not baked in there, but we found it. But there's a lot of his fur actually in it. Yeah. And then we also have he's had a lot of toys over the years, but this is just one of his one of the ones he really loved. He really loved the little lobster, so we have his little lobster here. So yeah, we're just gonna light the candle at 10 and maybe say some nice things. And Kep's here with us, which is nice, and also trying to get into my you can't get into my camera bag. I got Kep in my lap. He just wants to be comfortable. I know I read this the other day, but it's really beautiful. As a reminder, in case you missed it that day, it says, "Grieve not, nor speak of me with tears, but laugh and talk of me as if I were beside you." I loved you so. 'Twas heaven here with you. it's been a really, really crappy week and a half. Is that how long it's been?
Yeah.
I mean, it feels like months. It feels like it's been forever.
It also feels like he was just here.
Yeah. Mel and I have said that a lot. There's been a lot of times in the past week and a half where it almost always precedes us breaking down. We'll say he was just here. He was just here. And he was just here. And I mean, even going back, it's like one of the things I've tried to do is just recently I've like tried to catch up on emails and stuff because I just completely stepped away from all of that. And I have this very weird feeling that I'm dealing with where I have like this mindset of like things before he was gone. So like as I'm going through the emails, I'm getting back to like February 20th and I just have like a pit in my stomach. And like obviously he's already gone and me checking the email has no effect on anything, but it's just this very weird feeling of like, you know, he was already gone. And I'm working my way backwards and I'm like, you know, we were in the room with him at this time when this email came, and then, you know, this was the day before and we were really concerned that something was wrong, but we didn't know, you know, what it was. But he was just here. And I still having a really hard time accepting that he's gone. But I can guarantee you that I'm not going to forget him.
Yeah.
You know?
He was a special boy.
I really want that to be a legacy for him. Is that, you know, he was not an ordinary cat. He was special. He was extremely intelligent and always trying to figure things out. And there's just a big part of us missing now, and I think it's been very important to me, and I can only speak for myself, it's been very important to me to share this experience because I want people to know that it's okay to mourn and it's okay to cry. And that it is never acceptable to tell someone, you know, it's just a cat, it's just a pet, it's just an animal. These are members of the family, and I love them as if they were my children. And a loss like this is just incredibly difficult. And you know, while every day has been better, there's still a hole that will never be filled.
And sometimes it's not healing and it's not going to normal. It's picking up what's left and carrying it.
Yeah. I love Kepler so much, and
He's just asleep in your arms.
that's how he spends a lot of his, and that's how he did spend his time even before his brother passed. But just more than ever, he's such a little cuddle bug, and I really have appreciated him. I don't know. I don't really know what I'm supposed to say, but I know that this is a memorial candle, and the idea is to honor his memory. And for as much as there has been pain, and there's been so much pain, I mean, I promise you that what we have shared has been a drop in the bucket for how we have felt. Because it's been awful. I can guarantee that his memory will not be forgotten, and we will continue to love him and be grateful for the time that we spent with him, and
the memories of things, like his double meow. How crafty he was. Created that distraction to steal chicken. He was always on the bed, ready to play before bedtime. And before we got in bed, when we get ready for bed, we have Jack and Jill sinks in our bathroom, and mine's closer to the door. So I'd be brushing my teeth, and I'd peek around the corner at him, and he'd just be waiting for us to be done so we'd get in bed, and he would do his little double meow. I did it every night, and it was just the cutest little thing.
I hope that we've done a good job documenting his life and showing all of the reasons we loved him so much. His meows were they were great. Never heard a cat talk like that. Ever since he was a kitten, he almost always double meowed, and it was so stinking cute. And sometimes he would just keep going. Rah, rah. And he was so inquisitive. You could tell
when it was a question.
You could tell when his meows were a question. If something that you had just done confused him a little bit, like there was enough inflection in his meows that you could hear it. You could hear him asking, meow, and it was just, he was so stinking smart. A lot of times in the mornings, I would get up and I would go into the bathroom, and this has been, in every place we've lived.
Even at the first apartment.
I would get up and go into the bathroom, and he would jump up on the sink, and then he would use the sink to stand up on his hind legs because he wanted to be held every morning. So I go into the bathroom.
He just wanted,
Yeah. He would jump up on the sink, and I'd say, "Hey, buddy," and I'd walk up to him, and when I got close, he'd stand up on his hind legs and put his front paws up on my shoulder, and I'd pick him up and hold him up against my chest, and he would just start purring like crazy. He just wanted to be held in the morning. So I would carry him, and I would come out here, and I would hold him while I open up all the windows in the morning, and then I'd go into the kitchen.
You'd also turn the air up or the furnace on or whatever.
I'd do all that while holding him, and then I'd put him down in the kitchen, and I'd start getting their food together. And Sagan loved food, but that was like,
he always had to be part of things. If I was cooking, he'd have to be in the kitchen. So I started putting a stool in the kitchen, and we called it his helper stool because Sagan.
That was Sagan's helper stool.
and he had to be on the stool. And if I walked past him to go to the trash to throw, a container away or a box, he'd want to sniff it. And if I didn't let him, he would meow at me and, be like, hey, I get to sniff everything that's getting thrown away. He wanted to sniff the eggshells or whatever I had. It was like he just needed to see what it was because he wanted to know.
I mean, everybody knows how much he loved to play. We were always throwing toys for him, and he was always ready to go at any time. He didn't have to get into a play mode. I mean, if you picked up a toy,
he was ready.
He was ready. And you threw it, and he would go after it. I would always like take toys and throw them right above his head because he would jump for him, and Sagan could jump so high. And he would jump and go after stuff. He would always play with all of his might.
He had his little belly that hung down. And when he ran, it would just swing back and forth, and it was just so cute.
And I mean, both of the cats have always let us just touch them wherever. And there would be a lot of times I'd get down on the ground with Sagan, and I would be petting them, and he would be rolling, and I'd take my face and I'd just go like on his tummy.
His soft tummy.
His tummy was so soft. And there's been so many times, and even in Charleston, when we took him there, everyone always said how soft Sagan was. They were like, wow, this cat is soft. And even in Charleston, even in the face of all that, one of those vet techs said, wow, what a soft cat. And I was like, yeah.
And Kep is soft, but Kep is silky.
Yeah.
And Sagan was like a bunny, something just so soft.
It's a different feel. They have very different fur.
There's things that we never caught on video that we wish we just filmed every single moment of our lives for. Yeah. I'm sure we've told the story of when we lived in the apartment, I had taken off my socks and thrown them at Steven. And Kepler thought that was the best thing. So Kepler picked up a sock and brought it to the water dish and just dropped it in the water dish. He doesn't do that with toys. Like, I know sometimes dogs do that and sometimes cats do it, but they never really did that. It was the strangest thing.
It was weird.
And then he walked away. And then Sagan came up and was like, what is this? So he picked it up, this sopping wet sock, and realized it was wet and then just plopped it on the floor.
It was so funny. Mel and I talked about that forever. I mean, we're still talking about it technically. But
there was one time we had gone to see some trick shows.
Oh God. Oh God.
And I don't remember the whole story behind it, but there was a guy who had this dog, and the dog would like jump on his shoulder, and the guy would do like front flips, and the dog would stand on him.
So he'd do like forward rolls and stuff.
And the dog would stand on him through the whole forward roll, and the dog would kind of walk over him as the guy did the roll. And Steven said during the performance, he's like, Sagan could do that.
Sagan's smart enough to do that.
So we went home and tried it. But Steven didn't think to do a forward roll. He tried to do a backwards roll. So he's on his back on the bed trying to throw his legs over his head. And Sagan is... I'm
trying to get Sagan to walk forward.
Yeah.
Through, like on my chest, through my crotch.
And then, like, up your back.
And I'm trying to, like, go backwards to let him do this, and all of a sudden he loses his footing and he just spreads eagle and his butt lands on my mouth. And like, I was surprised, he was surprised, we were both very surprised. He got out of there as fast as I could, I got out of there as fast as I could, and Mallory was laughing so hard she was gasping for air.
He had a look of shock that I wouldn't have ever imagined a cat could have.
Like, oh. I don't know if we've ever told that story before, but that's something that Mal and I have laughed about for a long time over the years. And
he would wake us up in the morning just sitting on our chest. And it was normally Steven, but he'd do it to me too.
Yeah.
He'd just loaf right here on us with his face right in front of our face.
Yeah.
And the second you showed any sign of being awake, he'd start purring. And he would be so excited you were up. But if you just kind of pretended you weren't awake yet, but you were, and he didn't notice, like you could slowly open your eyes and just look at him, and he'd just sit there, just wait.
He was just waiting for you to get up. He would march on you in the morning. As soon as he knew you were up. Mm-hmm. There was times, especially when he was younger, I would wake up and he was under the covers. Sometimes up near me, sometimes down by my feet. Like he had crawled up near our faces and went down by our feet in the middle of the night. Mm-hmm. There was times that he let Mouse spoon him.
One night, I think it was like 1 or 2 nights, and it was since we've lived here, we were getting ready for bed, and I was in bed. I'm on my side, and he comes up and starts pawing at the comforter, and I was like, oh, you want under? So I let him under the comforter. And he just put his head on my arm, like, right here, and he just laid right here, and I just held him, and he just purred, and he was so happy.
And he slept there.
He slept there for a while. He was the first cat to figure out the doggy door at our apartment. When we had the doggy door to go on the patio.
He was pooping in the toilet.
Yeah, he was.
We had to stop toilet training them when they were kittens because Kep couldn't get it, and he was starting to
get too anxious.
And we didn't want to hurt Kep, but Sagan got it. Just a brilliant animal.
Opening every cabinet.
Yeah, sometimes too brilliant.
Yeah. And he knew how to get out, because he'd get in them, but he would just sit there and push it, and then let it slam, and push it, and let it slam. And then we'd have to go let him out, even though he could get out. He just liked to make the noise.
Yeah. He said, I'm going to get some attention, and this is how I'm going to do it.
Yeah. He sat in the studio with me so many times. He'd just come in, see what I was up to, and go to sleep. There was a time I made him a bed inside my IKEA shelf. Mm-hmm. I put some towels there and made a little bed, and he would sleep there. Since we lived here, he had been hiding behind my backdrop and just sleeping behind my backdrop.
If we couldn't find Sagan,
he was behind the backdrop.
He's usually sleeping behind the backdrop. The personalities of both of the cats really changed over the years, like in terms of them as kittens versus them as they got older. Because I feel like when we first got them, it felt like Sagan was kind of the crazy one, and the reason was Kep was actually sick.
Yeah.
We didn't know
that very first week.
Yeah, we didn't know how sick Kep was, but apparently he was very sick. And then after he started getting better, Kep was actually the crazy one. He had all sorts of energy he wanted to get out. And then as they got older, it really changed a little bit, and Kep, he had his moments where he would just, do whatever, but he
still does.
And he still does, but he's a lot more chill. Whereas Sagan, he was the one that was always playing so hard and stuff. And Sagan was not the braver of the two either.
No.
Sagan liked the way that things were. Like whenever we would take the cats over to my parents' house, which we stopped doing, at some point because they weren't enjoying themselves. Sagan would spend a lot of the time just in his cage where he felt safe.
Ready to go home.
Kepler was the explorer.
Yeah.
But at home, Sagan was completely relaxed.
We have so many photos of him just like on his back, just
completely
spread with his little soft belly, just
completely relaxed,
open to touch.
And I think one of the things I've heard our friends say, and I've heard people on the internet say, is that Sagan always looked like he was mad, like he was grumpy.
He always had a grumpy face.
And he had a grumpy face. He really did.
He has a grumpy face in this picture.
Even in this photo,
he just looks grumpy,
he was seriously the happiest stinking cat. And he had two very distinct looks too, because that was kind of his resting face. But when he was alert and playing, his eyes were wide and he looked so youthful. He had like two sides to him. He had that side where he kind of looked like this old stoic wise cat, and then he had the other side where he looked like a kitten. And
also like on breakfast stream, when he would get up on my arms like this and I would pet under his chin, he would smile. Like you could see he was smiling.
Yeah, you could.
He let you clean his ears, didn't give you any fuss, trimmed every nail, no fuss.
I think that was one of the wildest things, is that he was just such a good cat. He
always understood we were trying to do what was best for him.
Yeah, like he and Kepler both, they don't chew wires, which I'm very grateful for. But Sagan never gave us any trouble if we had to clean out his ears or if we had to clip his nails or we had to do anything like that. He was just always like, okay, I'll let you do this thing. And, if we wanted to hold him, we would hold him. And
he'd be thrilled.
He would be fine with that. He would purr and I would hold him upside down and
on his back, you mean, not like...
Yeah. I'd hold him on his back, and I would hold him with one arm, and I'd use my other arm and just, rub his belly, and he loved everything. He loved absolutely everything. Man. It's really hard to believe that he's gone.
Yeah.
Because, most of our lives together have involved Sagan. Mal and I are coming up on our 12th dating anniversary. It's going to be pretty soon. And, of those 12 years that we've been together, Sagan has been a part of, 7 of them. And, it's so weird because when I think of us, it's not just us, it's our family, and our family is them. And I think that's why it's hurt so bad, is that, the dynamic that people are going to have with their pets, I understand that's going to be different depending on a lot of different circumstances. There's going to be a lot of people out there that understand where I'm coming from when I say that this was a family member. This is my child. I always called Sagan my furry son, and I mean that. This is our family dynamic, and there's only so much you can show on the vlogs. There's only so much in a day I can film and show. But every time I'm upstairs working, I've got a cat up there. A lot of times I have both. I'll have one on my lap and I'll have one on the couch behind me, or one at my feet. When I was using the old office chair and there was enough room above it, I had both cats. And that's just the way it's always been. When I'm eating dinner, I've got a cat on my lap. And
if you got up and left or had to go get more water or deal with something, Sagan was normally on your lap. He would sit there and he would wait for you to come back.
Yeah.
And he knew you were coming back. He'd just wait. Be like, all right, fine, but I know you're coming back.
Yeah, he would. I would, if he was on my lap, I would give him just a tiny nudge, and he would walk onto the couch next to me and just sit. And I'd go and refill my drink or whatever, and I'd come back, and I'd sit back down, and as soon as I sat back down, he'd crawl back into my lap. So, it's just, I'll always, even though I shot as much as I did over the last 7 years, I'll always regret not shooting more. Not getting the camera up and personal on his face more, or his little beans more, or I'm always going to say, I wish I would have done this, or I wish I would have done that. But in the day-to-day, the amount of time that we were close was just immense. I mean, it was hours every day. I was close to him and touching him and petting him and kissing him and telling him how much I loved him.
We would sing little songs about how good he was, and
I mean, people know that that's like my thing is that I, ever since I was a kid, I've always liked doing little
ditties.
little improv songs, and I sang them to the cats just all the time. And yeah. It's been a long 10 days. Or 11 days, or however long it's been.
He gave us the best years.
Yeah. I'm appreciative of the time that we spent together. And I've grown up with cats my whole life. I have never met a cat like him. And I've always loved animals, all animals, but I've always felt like a cat person. And I think Sagan really like solidified that for me in a way that I had not been able to previously put into words. I mean, he really like Sagan really made me like a cat person for life. I think.
I mean, I think he did that for some of our friends who weren't cat people.
And I've read some stories about people that have gotten cats because of our cats. And I mean, I feel honored, I guess. Cats are great. I've always loved them. And
Dan never grew up with cats.
Yeah, and he loves cats now.
Yeah.
I've never known a cat like Sagan. And I obviously mean no ill will towards Cap. And Cap is an amazing and special animal in his own right because he has a lot of things that are very different from Sagan. But it's been a big loss. And I was not ready to say goodbye. I wasn't. I know that this has went extremely long. I can't actually remember if I said, did I talk about Mittens at the beginning?
No, I don't think so.
I've had a lot on my mind today. Today, and I'll try and wrap up after this. Today it occurred to me that the only other cat I've ever had to say goodbye to, the only other pet that I've ever had to say goodbye to, was Mittens, and Mittens was around when I was born. My parents had got her. She was a farm cat, and she was already a few years old by the time I was born, and she lived to be nearly 20 years old. She was like 19 and a half or something like that. And I was thinking about it today, actually, and it occurred to me that she also died in February. And she died in 2005. After, I mean, she was old, and we could see that things were definitely starting to shut down. And I tried to find out exactly when she passed because I wasn't exactly sure, but I found some information today, and I'm not exactly sure of the day, but I know that it was in February, and it was after the 23rd, which would have put it a very tiny window, for her to have passed. It was within, 4 or 5 days there at the end of February. And that's the only other pet I've ever had to say goodbye to. And obviously Sagan hurt so much worse, and I know that it's because I've spent so much time with him, as opposed to growing up and having friends and going out and playing, and the cat was cared after by my parents more so than me, whereas I took care of Sagan.
And I mean, she was very old.
She was very old, and Sagan just...
You start to see the signs.
Yeah. And I mean, she even like a few months prior, we could definitely tell that she was going to be going soon. But Sagan, it was just, again, he was just here. But it made me realize that, that was also the end of February, and I was like, well, that was the end of February 15 years ago, half my life ago. And I guess the end of February is just not my time. Historically had some rough end of Februaries. But I thought of that today, and I just thought I'd share that because I don't often talk about Mittens. She passed away when I was 15, just less than a month before I would turn 16, and then we waited a year before we got Rocco, and now Rocco is 13 or something.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway. Sorry. I know this is a long vlog. I don't expect everyone to watch this whole thing, even that. But the memorial service feels more appropriate when you are talking about the animal, and it felt appropriate. I miss him.
I miss him too.
I mean, I really miss him. Anyway, we should probably end it here, but thanks again for watching, and thanks again for coming with us on this journey. The past 10 days have been rough, and I really do mean it when I say that everyone has made it just that much easier. It's been really nice reading your stories. Again, this is a memorial to Sagan and who he was, and I'm so glad that we got to share him with everyone. So we won't let his memory fade. We'll continue to talk about him.
Mm-hmm.
And if we find little photos or videos or whatever, maybe stuff that hasn't been posted, we'll share it.
I know I have some.
Yeah, it's going to take a while to sort through things, and even some of our friends that have photos and stuff, we've reached out to them and asked them to, if they have anything, to send it, because we'd really like to get a hold of it. It's just, this isn't something you just get over. It's something that's with you forever. And while we will eventually get to the point where we are feeling okay in our new normal, we're always going to remember him and miss him very much. Anyway, I really don't want to go back to fading to black.
I don't think you need to.
I know. And I know that things have been feeling up, and then this makes it feel down, but it's not intended to. This vlog is, again, it's a memorial. Great cat.
Great cat.
Really great cat. Let's meet back tomorrow, shall we?